Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 192, where we've got Phil here, who's going to be talking to us all about the cool stuff they do over at Ember Prototypes, including these freaking legit sweet plates. These things are so awesome, and if you are a small business and you want a better way to brand your parts that you're selling, so those of you who are selling in person, you should absolutely get one of these plates. That is not a sponsored thing, but you can definitely put your logo on the bottom of it. That is super cool. But Phil, do you know the next question I'm going to be asking you?
To introduce myself? I don't
Well,
know.
there's a very specific thing that I tell people to do.
Okay.
I need the Backstreet Boys from you.
The Backstreet
The
Boys.
Backstreet Boys, yeah, the Backstreet Boys.
Like, you want me to sing it or?
No, the who you are, the where you're from, the what you did, and as long as you love me.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, I'm getting put on the spot to
I'm like,
sing.
everybody, it's the same question I ask to every guest. I'm like, I
Right,
feel like someone eventually is going to listen to one episode, the first 2 minutes of it, and figure out what I'm gonna ask.
uh, yeah, all right. Who I am? I'm an electrical engineer by training and have become more of a mechatronics engineer just throughout the years, teaching myself mechanical and SolidWorks and stuff. Um, I'm the founder of Ember Prototypes. Ember Prototypes is a we focus on rapid prototyping, product design, consulting, and now designing products for the additive manufacturing industry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's like the gist of who I am and what we do.
Okay. All right. And then what did you do before Ember Prototypes?
Mm. Sorry, it's like really early over here, so I'm like I'm
Yeah, it's like
tired.
9 a.m. for you.
Yeah, and I got a bit of a cold yesterday. I had been working as an engineer. I graduated in like 2010, so it's been like 14 years now. But I've worked at a lot of really cool places. So I've worked in robotics, in DNA sequencing, genomics. I've worked on wearables.
Okay.
Yeah,
Buddy's been
yeah,
worked in genome sequencing.
yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. Um,
Holy
worked with a
crap.
lot of like wearables. I've worked with particle accelerators. And then more recently worked at consulting firms doing just like random really cool projects for different people. And that's kind of, I've been consulting for a long time even outside of that, but having worked at that company kind of funneled me into doing consulting even now through Ember. And then yeah, like air quality monitoring stuff, just
Like, I'm
like
over here like,
a very, yeah,
y-
very wide range of things.
you played in genome sequencing and particle acceleration, found yourself playing with making custom build
With
plates
making
and
plates.
cameras for
Yeah,
3D printers. Like,
yeah.
how the hell do you get to that? Like, that's. You want to talk about ducking and diving your way and then finally
Yeah.
finding what you enjoy. Like, bro, you went from like one end of like the chemical spectrum to the other end of the mechanical and electrical spectrum. Just be like finding some happy medium and playing with 3D printers. I
Yeah.
can dig the hell out of it. It's just it's that is a stacked background, man. That's super cool.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I have a fairly unusual background for an engineer. Like, most of my friends, colleagues, if you ask them what they want it to be when they grow up, it's like, bam, like engineer, I build Lego, I take things apart. I love that stuff. And then,
An engineer
for
at Lego. Now that's
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Actually, I hear like Lego, Disney, some of these places have these like top secret, Google X
Oh
type
yeah.
engineering teams. It would be
I'm in
really cool to
Florida.
work
I
in
can
one of those.
confirm to you that Disney has top secret
Yeah,
design teams that, you know, you talk about them and they get Boeinged or not
yeah,
full Boeing, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah. So at the consulting firm that I worked at, this was like 2009. Yeah, I was there from like 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
We've worked. we worked with Google X. We had some stuff with Disney. It was actually really cool. I obviously can't talk about any of that, but
Yeah, no.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why is it always the fun stuff we can't talk about, right?
I know.
Like you could say that you worked with particle accelerators. I can say that I've worked with Lockheed Martin, but neither of us can describe
Sweet.
to any level of detail what we basically did for them.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
yep, that
Yeah.
that gets us sued.
Yeah, totally.
People are like, why don't you have any cool products on your website? Because all the cool projects are under NDAs, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can show it
Yeah.
to you in 8 years if you want, but in 8 years, like, some of the parts that we have on our website are quite old, and
Right.
they're like, well, why do these parts look the way they do? I said, because this is literally what I can show you.
Like a decade ago.
This is what 3D printing was like in 2014.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to tell you. This is welcome to the life of engineering, right? Unless we take machine time, man time, and just lots of money to make our own products to display on our website for the sole purpose of display. You get a
Right.
generic basic engineering website that is clearly designed by engineers and and reasonably untrained individuals. Hi, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I wish I could talk about so many more of the things that we do. But it's just the way it is. Yeah.
I do want to thank everyone for coming out and hanging out. We have some awesome people here in the chat. We got Lenit is here, Mad Cat USA is here, FJ Prince, Max H, Brian Burton, David Connor Shover, Sanjay. Who else? We have BLD0550. I just like to, shout out the people in the chat here. Filthy Phil. Are you Filthy Phil?
Oh, hey, Phil. No, but he's another maker in Vancouver, actually. So
oh yeah, okay,
buddy. Yeah.
We got Breaker 3D is here. It's Justin, one of the organizers for Rocky Mountain Rep Rap. DaVinci 10, John Olson, and Taylor are all here. Thank you all for coming out. Leave a like, subscribe, all those things, and hey, support if you do so feel the inclination to do so, and get excited because we do have a sponsor. And I am hoping I need to get the stuff from them so we can give stuff away. But we're going to start doing giveaways on streams, and I'm really excited for that. Because it is not the one that everybody else is sponsored by. So don't even think about it. I decided to go with small businesses because that's what we like to do. But Phil, what the heck got you to say, you know what, I'm going to make my own build plates. And then, you know what, screw it. I'm going to put things on it for whatever the heck that people want. Because, like,
right.
And I know that they're not normally double-sided, right? The creator plates get the double sides so we can toss them into, our time lapses and social media stuff. But, like, where the heck did this idea come from?
Yeah. So it was like a total accident. Even if you look at kind of what we were talking about earlier, like my trajectory with like career and stuff, it like doesn't really fit into any of the really engineering type things I like to do. So the story is that last year I launched the CXE, which is the little camera tool for helping calibrate IDEX and toolhead printers. And so this was like, so sorry to backtrack a bit, like I had been running Ember in some capacity since 2014, I guess. But mostly as a service bureau throughout the years. And it kind of grew organically over time on the side of my full-time job. And I had been scaling down time at my full-time job over the years from like 4 to 3 to 2 days a week. And so last year, in spring of last year was when I just said, screw it, I'm just gonna do Ember full-time. And to kind of kick that off, I launched the CXE at that time because that was actually something that I had made for myself because I absolutely hated having to calibrate our IDEX printer. Like we had a Race 3D E2 and it was just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It just really sucks. So
yeah, I understand. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to the Prusa XL, tool changing, whether it was even IDEX, they were not reliable. They would be off by just a little bit, especially the IDEX printers. We have an IDEX printer. I have never gotten a successful print out of it. It sits in the pile of printers to just go away at some point because it's just not worth it. And no one made a camera that worked until you came along.
Yeah. So So we launched that last year, and you know, I had no experience with like marketing, sales, any of that stuff. So I was just kind of like, I'll throw this out there and see how it goes. And sales kind of picked up very slowly. And then Daniel from ModBot actually bought one and then made a YouTube video about it, because he himself has also experienced like the challenges and struggles with IDEX and calibration.
Yep.
And yeah, I remember that day he released the video. I was playing volleyball and then I had left the gym afterwards. And then on my phone, I just saw all these orders come in. And I was like, what the heck? What happened? And then, yeah, so I found out that he made that video, and I was just extremely appreciative of him doing that, and him like, buying the product himself and then making this video that I didn't even know about. So for the holidays last year, I wanted to make him something special, just as like a gift of appreciation. And I think sometime in the fall, he posted on Twitter or X about a custom build plate that he got his logo on, just from AliExpress. And it was basically just the spring steel plate, like a blank spring steel plate that they silk screened or screen printed or whatever his logo onto, and then they put a PI sticker on top.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of lame. Like, nobody uses PI stickers anymore, right? Everybody uses textured plates for a reason, because the stickers bubble up and then they're annoying to replace them all the time.
I like
You like them?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Specifically because a lot of our clients request a smooth bottom side on the print. So
okay. Yeah. I think if like if you're printing a lot of PLA and stuff, it's not a big deal. For me, just in the past, I've used to use stickers. I print a lot of ABS and like polycarbonate and stuff, and like those stickers just bubble up so quickly. And
yeah, at the high temps, they definitely can.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at my Taz 6 that currently has a ton of bubbles in it, and I care not to fix it. Because it's such an old printer at this point. It's like, there's no point. It's just easier to put it out to pasture.
Totally. You can give it away on the stream.
No, it'd have to go to somebody local, because shipping that thing is going to be way more money than it's worth. So
right.
Yeah, we're gonna eventually do something along those lines. There's a lot of technicalities and legal technicalities as well that I have to work through before we can do that. But yeah, I might just say F it. I'm just gonna donate it all to the local maker space that has only like government funding, so they're operating on a shoestring budget. So
yeah,
we'll see. But
yeah,
you found a process to not just print. So I want to be clear. This is actually raised. How much? Not a clue. I should have measured that. But it is significant enough that on a print, the camera's not going to focus on this, but you guys will be able to see it on the actual reflection. The logo shows up on the bottom of the print. And if you're listening audio only, I'm sorry, but basically it's the 3D with the hat on it that is on the bottom of a jig that we made for one of our laser cutters. It is just super cool as a way to brand parts that are either for internal use or for clients that don't need to put their own branding on something, right? So the process of making it thicker was something that took a little bit, right? I remember there were some trials and errors associated with it. Like, how long did you spend kind of perfecting the process to get it to where it is now?
Yeah. So back in the end of November is when I decided I want to make something for Daniel. And then naively, the first thing I thought was like, well, I have a laser cutter. I'll just engrave a plate with his logo on it and then just give it to him. And that was the first thing that I did. But then the PI, basically because of the heat from the laser, like the PI just will flake off eventually, and you're just ruining the coating. So then in December, November, December is when I kind of went down this rabbit hole, and I was like, I want to make this thing work, and I want to make it work with PLA, ABS, polycarbonate, nylon, like everything. So it took me around a month to find a way to do this, and meet all the requirements that I wanted. And honestly, man, it's like 6 months now. It took me 6 months to kind of figure out like product market fit, like do all the marketing, do all the
Yeah.
sales, get the website up, kind of dial in everything, make all the equipment. I would say, we just finished making batch 1 for customers. We still have batch 2 and the remaining orders to make. And I'm pretty close to being happy with like exactly how consistent and reliable things are with my coding. There's still a couple of things I'm trying to tweak now before batch 2 gets done, but I think after that, I'll be pretty happy with it. So yeah, it's been like a 6-month journey, a 6-month unplanned, totally accidental journey that's just kind of led me to where I am now. And it's kind of funny because I always tell people, I care a lot about functional engineering things, and then here I am making build plates, but
It's a cosmetic thing. Yeah, it is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so this is an official bamboo plate, I believe, right? So
Mm,
the one you sent me is an official bamboo plate, right?
yeah.
You're not doing that anymore,
No, so those plates,
which
they
is
were like
funny.
early plates,
I've never owned an official bamboo textured plate, so that's
right?
just
So
funny
so
that this
actually,
is it.
yeah, so actually that plate was purchased from AliExpress. So I don't actually know if it's
Oh,
official, or
okay.
if it's like semi knockoff official. Um, it looks exactly the same, so it's probably, from the same factory or manufacturer in China.
Yeah, it looks damn good
It's
compared
like,
to a
yeah,
yeah.
it's like exactly the same.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we are not doing that because we want to put, you know, our new plates have like Ember prototypes at the bottom. Also, those plates, like, you can't, as far as I know, you can't really get those plates without like the Bamboo Lab, all the logos and silkscreen and stuff on it. And if you use the entire build volume of those plates, because the text on there is silkscreened, either the silkscreen will come off and it'll stick on the bottom of your print,
It could,
or
yeah.
or it'll actually imprint onto the bottom of your print, which you probably don't want. I've
No.
experienced that and I didn't want that. So we're getting like totally custom, just blank build plates done for us.
Yeah, I thought that you were are you not plasma cutting them yourself? It looked like you were plasma cutting
No,
them yourself.
no, yeah, I think a couple of people, I've seen a couple of people mention that.
Yeah, because like I've seen a plasma
Yeah,
cutter. I've seen
yes, I
big
do.
sheets that weren't cut out yet. So
Yeah, I do have a plasma cutter. I have a CNC mill. We are getting them made for us, and the reason why is because my workshop is like 200 square feet. It's just like a single car
I
workshop.
understand this
It's
pain.
yeah, yeah, and it's got like tons of stuff, right? Like lots of 3D printers, CNC plasma, CNC mill. There is no way currently that we can fit, manufacturing hundreds of plates on our plasma cutter, powder coating them in-house. Like there's just no way. I think maybe in the future, and we can get into this a bit more later, but if this kind of moonshot idea of mine that's tangential to these plates takes off, then maybe I'll have to get space and cut the plates and do powder coating. But right now it's just
Okay.
too inefficient with our setup. Yeah.
And so that's a great thing when you're a small business is you have found a manufacturer that you can work with that will get the spring steel, powder coat it, and cut it so that you can then do your
Yeah.
11 herbs and spices, if you will, to add your secret sauce to it, right? And your goal is to eventually vertically integrate, but you recognize to vertically integrate up front, which of course vertical integration is to control every step of the manufacturing process as close to from the ground to the person as possible. You recognize that it's not reasonable for you right now because you'd be growing faster than what you should be, and even
Hmm.
further, it would cost an obtuse amount of money to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it depends from like business to business.
Yeah.
If you travel the more typical like VC path, tech startup type
Yeah.
situation, yeah, maybe you like have all this funding and you just go and you get a warehouse and you
Yeah,
file
if you
equipment.
got VC money, vertically integrate, go for it. Who cares,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But if you're operating on a shoestring budget is generally very kind to startups. A lot of us are operating on sub shoestring budgets. You know, it's like, oh, we got another sale. Great, we can now afford to buy this.
Right, yeah, we
You
can now
know,
spend it.
yeah, we can spend it. We're not operating. We're operating on not a ton of estimations for what the future looks like. We're operating on what the here and now looks like, because the here and now is the only thing that's currently guaranteed.
Yeah. Like for any bootstrap small business, I think
Yeah.
it's hard. You have to be a bit more intentional. And I think also for me, I've worked at many startups. I've seen kind of the pitfalls of getting VC money, right? Like you're no longer getting to make all the decisions, even though you're the CEO, like you're still beholden to the board and stuff. And so the path that I want to take with Ember is more slow and kind of intentional. I want to, kind of like what you're saying, I want to focus on where I add value the most, and not necessarily just grow for the sake of growth and then have to hire employees and stuff, because hiring employees is difficult, right? Like you have overhead you have to deal with. You have to be a good manager. You have to train them properly. Like there's just all this stuff that comes with it that I am just trying to postpone or trying to not do. So
I understand that completely. Part of growing the business, the hard part of growing a business, is the people associated with growing the business. The money is actually the easiest part. People are like, oh, raising money is so difficult. No, it's not. Raising money is very easy. It is, the hard thing is finding people that you can trust to not take advantage of that money, to not take advantage of you, to not lie to you, to not screw you in the 9th hour on the job. That is the hard stuff. And it's what makes a good business versus a bad business. And anyone that is growing a small business that is looking to hire people has been through this, right? Whether, 100% or kind of, they might have dodged a bit of a bullet there. Small business and growing and scaling is not just, oh, hey, we're in our garage. Oh, hey, we're now Apple. That's not how it works. And for those that disagree with me, go look at Apple's first logo. They had no idea what the hell they were doing. It has Isaac Newton in it. Like Apple, the multi-trillion-dollar company, their first logo has Isaac Newton in it.
I don't think I've ever seen their actual first logo.
Look at, so if you pull up a timeline of Apple's
God.
Exactly. If you pull up a timeline of Apple's logos, did they have any idea what they were doing for the first 20 years? No.
That is such a terrible logo. Like it's so detailed.
Buddy, I could show you my first logo too, okay? Right? Like you do something that you think, oh, it's so cool. It's so cool because Isaac Newton and the apple and gravity, right?
Right, yeah.
We're edgy, man. We're a tech. No, they don't care, right?
Yeah.
Then we had geez, imagine if Apple had the rainbow logo still. Imagine what that would do, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it is all about understanding what your target market is, and certainly back then Apple didn't know, and you fell into this target market, right? You fell into this because you had a bone to pick with the way it was done otherwise. And why is it that like every successful business, like small business that I know, all started this way, right? Polar 3D is the same way. They're an automotive prototyping company that started producing filament because they had problems with the filament that they were buying. So like, F it, we're going to buy our own extrusion line. And it's like, okay, now all you really do is actually produce filament. It's like, okay, that wasn't our intention, but screw it. Profit drivers are profit drivers, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, even with the CXE, like, I just hated the way that the traditional calibration technique worked, right? I just hated it. And so I designed this thing, and I guess similar with this plate, but I feel like that's just my personality. I'm a bit of an intense perfectionist. I'm working on it. I've been working on it for quite a while to like try to dial that down a bit. But yeah, I think that kicks in when I look at something and I'm like, that's not good enough, right? Like, so yeah.
Yeah. I can't say I am the adamant perfectionist that I used to be. Right? I've learned over the years that I will often, so I want to hold the team to roughly the same standard that I hold myself. I can't hold them to the exact same standard because I hold myself to a very, very high standard. And well, that's because if I succeed or fail, it's not just me that suffers, right? It's not just me that would benefit. There's a whole team of people, and I realize that if I just expect perfection out of everybody constantly, that's going to be a real shit show. It is going to be a problem. And I said early on, no, I'm going to let him mess up. But we did things a little bit different than a lot of companies. I tell our team, when someone gets onboarded, say, I am going to deliberately tell you to do wrong things because I need you to learn that I am not always right. I need you to learn that speaking up to me and saying that this is wrong and here's why is a good thing to do. I need you to learn that also, if I say no, we're going to do it my way, we're going to go ahead and do it my way. Because then there are times where it's like, nope, I want it this way. I understand it's going to be a little bit different than ideal, but this is the way that makes me feel good, and me feeling good is ultimately what helps pay the bills. So that's how we're going to do it. And the team loves it because they recognize that, while, yes, I'm the guy that signs the paychecks, I'm the guy that sends the Zelle and the PayPal and all of that to everybody, I am not infallible. I am not perfect. I am just a person who is overworked, underpaid, and yells too much on the internet, right? That's the bulk of who I am. And once our team understands that, man, they seem to love it because they all complain about their day jobs. They never really complain about this, so I take it as a win. So businesses, right, we're always told to have a 1, 3, and 5 year plan. Right. I never really ask people what their 3 and 5 year plans are because statistically, no one really has them all that well.
Right. Also, 5 years from now, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
5 years from now, these filament printers could be absolute crap.
Right. Yeah.
And we might just have this new non-toxic resin that we're all using, and it requires you don't need a bucket full of alcohol sitting in a chair to do your post-processing. It's definitely not a bucket of tainted alcohol that needs to go outside to cure. Definitely not what that is. Maybe we found a better process because, dude, think of 5 years ago what this industry was like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was who was I talking? I was talking to I was talking to Pooch about kind of like my history and my background, and I got started in 3D printing 10 years ago. 10 years ago, 3D printing sucked. It was so
terrible.
Bad. It was so
it was 16 years for me, right? So
wow, holy.
I was back there to doing dumb stuff, all right? That was back when we were winding nichrome wire around bolts and then using some definitely not carcinogenic fiberglass laden epoxy paint to insulate it. It was proper jank.
Yeah. Did you have one of the old school wooden Ultimakers?
Not the Ultimaker, but I had a Thingomatic for a while, but
oh wow,
dude, so my first printer was a Mendel, right?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, and so we would salvage components out of thank you to my university for letting me do this. Salvage it out of their IT dumpsters.
Okay.
So hey, we've got a pro copier that's end of life. Do you want to pull any parts before it goes in the dumpster? Hell yes, I'll be right there.
Right.
And we pulled the parts, right?
Nice.
And so we were able to build 3D printers that way. But it wasn't. It was a little jank, to say the least, right? A little jank. And as Mad Cat says, I do have it's not a wooden Ultimaker, it's a wooden MakerBot, and it is signed.
Okay. It's signed by the MakerBot guy, or
we have identified Bree's signature.
Okay.
I don't know. There's 4 signatures total on it. Mad Cat found it out by him on Facebook Marketplace for $25. I said, I will pay you double that plus shipping to go and get it. Right. Hilariously, that was back when Mad Cat was a fan. Mad Cat is now a staff member.
Oh,
He's our
okay, okay.
in-house writer. So he handles. So we're gonna. For those that don't know, we are launching a like a review company, right? Because we're kind of tired of the way that written reviews are done. So we're
Mm,
launching a whole arm of 3D Musketeers for reviews,
cool.
because it's about time that we do real world reviews from real world people that are going to be honest with you and not sugarcoat things.
Hmm.
And I don't care if that gets us blacklisted from working with companies. If being honest gets us blacklisted, then the company's not worth it.
Right. I agree.
So,
I agree 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mad Cat's going to be assisting on that. So, those that say, "Oh, I'm a fan. I've always wanted to do something like this." Maybe you should send a resume. That's all I got to say. And like, come on, these are people that have enjoyed listening to us talk. If they're fans of yours, they've enjoyed looking at your build plates, understanding the CXC camera, and they know a lot about your business.
Hmm.
So they've been slowly been interviewing by commenting and helping out.
Right.
They've had this interview for a long time. So like my interview with Mad Cat was so funny. It's like, so I know a lot about you. um But so, what do you perceive in the next 6 months to a year that you want to do, or your goals here with Ember Prototypes?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I always get distracted um, by shiny objects.
Oh, you also, yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
Welcome to the club.
yeah, yeah. No kidding. I think so. For the rest of this year, I
Mhm.
probably want to just focus on getting all the orders for the build plates done, dialing in a lot of the manufacturing and stuff so that it's less labor intensive for me. Doing a bit of work trying to reduce the friction of sales for the plates. So because the plates, because I'm mostly marketing them as custom plates, there's a lot of friction in converting sales, as one would expect. But honestly, in hindsight, that's very easy to say. When I launched the product, there was so much social media hype. I had like very inflated expectations, and I've only told this to a couple of people, but yeah, like I had super high expectations, and then when product launch date came, there weren't that many orders, and so I went through a bit of a roller coaster of emotions during that period of time. And in hindsight now, it's like very obvious. It's like, well, yeah, it's custom. There's a lot of frictions. People have to make a logo. People don't know how to make a logo, all that stuff. So I want to work on options to make that a bit easier for people, whether that's like, off the shelf patterns or collaborations with creators and stuff like that. And then I also have this moonshot idea um, of like a new type of plate that I maybe will work on. I think that's probably all I'll do for this year. And then next year is when I want to get back to my originally planned roadmap of products and work on the product that I was supposed to work on this year actually. So
I noticed something that you did that I don't see a lot of companies doing, and I liked it. You were transparent.
oh
You were
yeah.
very transparent. So your initial thing that you did is you contacted, as far as I could tell, as many social media content creators. I hate the term influencer, but basically is what you did. And you said, I want to send you something for free.
Mhm.
And I kept saying, I want to pay you because I know what it's like being a small business, and you would never take my money. And I'm still mad at that. Because I'll still talk cool stuff about your play. I don't give a damn, right?
You're right,
It's not
yeah.
about the money to me. I want to support a small business, but
Hmm.
I remember you saying, I think you put it on Twitter, that you have a ton of money invested in these creator plates that are going out to people. And yeah, for those that don't understand, right? Sending out samples to content creators when you're a small business and you're fully bootstrapped, buddy, that's just literally throwing money away. Because if they
Yeah,
don't make
yeah.
videos, if they don't say anything about it, they don't do anything, that money is a waste. And so you have to
Hmm.
look at giving stuff to creators as you need to be able to throw that money away and be comfortable. It's literally like a Kickstarter, right? You have to be okay with throwing that money away, because if they don't do anything with it, you can't get upset. You will be upset, but you can't show it. You can't show it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right. When you're a big company, that's just marketing, right? When you're a small person, everything becomes so bloody personal. And and I know what this feels like, right? I know what this feels like. It's funny because now I'm on the other end of it, which is weird for me.
Right.
But I know what it feels like when we worked with Snoop Dogg and Steve Aoki and Anthony Anderson, the entire cast and crew of Blackish, Justin Bieber, Ronda Rousey, so many different people, and they all wanted free stuff. And I said, no, I'm not giving you free stuff. You have enough money to pay for it. I don't care that you have 1 billion Instagram followers. And quite frankly, if we got 1 billion sales, it would bankrupt us overnight. We wouldn't be able to scale properly. So yeah, there are some concerns there. And I would say that I see you're always freaking working. So I feel like it's worked out well, but you're saying that maybe things didn't scale as fast as you were hoping. Is that kind of what I picked up there?
I think it's not that things didn't scale as fast as I was hoping. I think before, when I made the decision that I would turn this into a product, I didn't really have very many expectations. I think what happened is just because there's so much hype on social media, it's really hard to like keep that separate from your expectations, right?
That's fair. Yeah, the hype gets you hyped as well.
Totally, yeah. I was like here, and then after all the social media at product launch, I was like here, right? And so that was not met because it was like artificially inflated, and I didn't understand at the time that there would be so much friction with converting, sales on this.
It can be that word custom. Hilariously, it's even in my title. I think it's even in the thumbnail. That word custom is one that in this industry you would think that people find cool, but for some reason often people associate the word custom with slow.
Right.
And I will say it was nothing like that for me. Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that it was done. So how this worked is Phil sent me a message saying, hey, I want to do a creator plate for you. I'm like, okay, cool. It's like, can you send me a logo? I sent him a logo. And that was it. Right? And I think maybe I'll ask for my address and give you my address. And then I get a shipping notification, and I get I'm tagged on Twitter because he's posted the photo and it's already in the mail. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I would say that, like, for me, I am not a graphic designer, so I don't understand like the step and repeat. Like, I haven't said, Phil, I have no idea how to do this. Can I just send you the logo and you do it? Like, and I've said, I'm happy to pay. I don't care. If you had a software that people could upload the logo and it would just tile it for them, if you need people to do that, I have a feeling that if we ask the audience, either they could do it or they know somebody that could, that would take something off your plate that maybe you're not the best. I don't know if you're good at programming. I know I'm not.
Yeah, I'm okay at it. Yeah, that's definitely something that yourself and multiple other people have suggested, like having some kind of online plugin designer tool where they can upload it and just kind of like pattern it and stuff. That definitely, I think, would reduce some of that friction for sure. Yeah, but this product's been challenging, I would say. Like, I'm an engineer who's designed and launched many products throughout my career, but they've all been like standard products, right? You like design your thing, you go through DFM production, and then a CM builds it, and they build like hundreds of them, and then you just fulfill them.
Yeah, it's not every one of them is custom.
Exactly. Yeah. So every one of these is custom, and then I have to process the artwork. Some people will, some people who are a bit more like design savvy will do all the patterning and stuff and give me exactly what they want. And that's great because then I can just load that in and then just go. But many people, they send me a logo. They're like, can you please pattern this, yada, yada. And then so I have to kind of do that and prepare it. And then there's all the like challenges around inventory. I offer a lot of different plate sizes. So
You do.
making sure, yeah. So okay, so the funny story about that too is like when I originally launched this product, I wanted to just focus on like bamboo plates and Prusa plates,
Right.
right?
The two big
And
players.
the two big players. And maybe I shouldn't have done this, and I'm still not sure if this was the right decision or not. It wasn't catastrophic, but I'm still unsure. But basically, because I was worried about the success of the product when we launched because of that like inflated expectation, I was like, okay, oh my God, like I need to, offer more plate sizes, more plate types because I'm not generating as many sales as I thought I was doing to make this like worth it.
And a lot of SKUs start to add up to a lot of inventory unless they're made to order.
Yeah.
Right? If your
So
plates are all custom cut to order, okay, but that of course increases your lead time to get a plate out the door.
yes, yeah. So that is kind of the path that that I chose to go with, which is the lead times are extended, and basically I'll do a pre-order for a batch. We get all the plates that we need done, and then we kind of roll over for another batch. And it helps alleviate the potential problem of me having like hundreds of plates that are left over and will never get used. But yeah, it extends the lead time significantly. So I'm hoping that over time, and this is true actually even with batch two, like I've already started to order more of the plates that I know people want, the popular ones. And over time, I'll have inventory of those so that the lead time can be like 2-4 weeks instead of right now it's like 8 weeks, right? Maybe
Don't worry
even more
about
than
lead
8
times,
weeks for some
Prussia.
people.
Just compare yourself to Prussia. You're beating 2 years, homie. You're fine.
Right, yeah.
As
Oh yeah, with the
a
Excel.
like as a valid Prussia fanboy that is also now technically a shill since they are supporting us with printers and stuff like that.
Right.
2 years is way too damn long, and they know it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I will put the call out there. If you have the skills to do the programming to make something tileable onto, it needs to be black and white, right? It has to be, simply something that can easily be secret sauced onto a build plate. You can't have a bunch of gradients. Stop that. It needs to be black and white. Then make it in a format that Phil can use. I want you to comment, or you can email us. My email is public. It's youtube@3dmusketeers.com, and I can forward it to Phil. Phil, if you want to tell people your email, you can. But if you guys have the ability to do this and you want to help, let us know.
Yeah, my email is just on the website. So if you go to emberprototypes.com, you can just shoot us email. That would be cool. Yeah, like if we had a plugin online where people could just design their own plates, I think that would definitely make things easier for people.
Yeah. And if for some reason in like the next 2 weeks you don't get someone that can do it, I've got someone and I know who. I don't want to give their name out. I'll tell you when we're off air.
Okay.
But I don't know how available they are, but they're very well known.
Okay. Okay.
So.
That'd be great. I mentioned this on Twitter, I think a couple times, but I'm still like a little unsure how I'm still kind of unsure whether I want to offer these custom plates as like a long-term product.
It's a lot of effort because every one of them is different, right?
Yeah, and even like, getting this plugin or setting it up or, trying to do more like standard plates or working with creators and stuff like that also is a lot of work, right? And I think with any entrepreneur or small business or inventor, you're always like, but I could do this, I could do this, I could do this to make it easier. And I think, it's like hard to separate I could do this for this X amount of improvement from just like doing something else that might be more worthwhile. So I'm still unsure. I think I want to give it at least like another 6 months to really, see how things go. Like the CXD grew slowly and organically over the period of like a year.
Right.
And so I think I should give this the same duration of time to like give it a fair chance. But we'll see. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, That's reasonable, which is more than I can say for a lot of small business owners, myself included, right? We're willing to let this thing ride quite a bit longer than it should before we call it.
Right.
I'm catching up on the comments here, and John Stern says he missed the bit about the CM screwing up before getting it right on the production side of a product. And you know, I was planning on having him on relatively soon, but I think we're going to delay it a little bit. But Andrew Mayhall of Gloop, who is thankfully at home and recovering, he had a pulmonary embolism on his way back from open sauce. He's thankfully okay. For those who don't know, it's a blood clot. It sounds really bad because it can be. That is a sometimes not compatible with life kind of problem, but we are very glad to hear that he is back at home. But if you want to see someone who is the person for building solutions that are scalable, it's him. If you ever get the chance to go to a show and you can get in early or you stay late to watch Gloop unload or load, it is so well done. He has built processes and systems for everything, including rolling up the carpet that they use. And then the thing that holds the carpet also holds the poles for their big banner thing. But now you got to have a place to put the fabric, so there's a way to roll the fabric up. He goes through and thinks about all these little things that waste time. And how can we automate or at least make that process easier on the people that are doing it? And I think ultimately that's where a lot of small businesses fail, is we stick to, we're going to do this custom, we're going to do this by hand, when we could process automate it. Process automation, like if you had a system that would electronically do everything that someone needs, they would approve the proof, right? It could give them a render of what it looks like. They would approve the proof, and then it sends it to whatever secret sauce device does the secret sauce, and all you had to do was put a build plate under it and click go, secret sauce is applied, and then it goes into a bag and ships out. All of a sudden, the bulk of where your time is wasted, gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. But then the challenge with that for like a small bootstrapping business is like everything you described is like a lot of this,
it's
right?
the money.
To like set up.
It's the money.
So it's like, do you set up all of that stuff before you even know you have a product market fit? There's like a hard balance, like a hard line you have to draw, right? And then for me and my business, the extra challenge that I think that most other businesses don't understand or don't have a similar challenge is that I make hardware in a tiny space, right? And I do so many different things, right? Ember is a service bureau. Ember is a product design consultancy. And then also we make products, we make these plates, we make these CXCs in-house. So having to do all of those things and be physically agile in a very confined space constrains a lot of things we can do. Like I can't just set up an automation line.
No, you don't have space.
Even if I had the money, I can't, right? Like I just can't do it because I need that space for other things. So I have to intentionally do things such that I can easily switch from like making plates to making CXVs, switch from making CXVs to like 3D printing things for clients. So that's like an extra challenge on top of that for us.
Yep. Yeah. And what are you saying? You can't just strap stuff to the ceiling? Come on. Right? Like
we've taught,
if Pooch can screw a printer to the ceiling and it still works, you can too.
My wife and I have joked about, kind of joked, but talked about like removing the roof on the garage and then building a second floor. But I don't know. That's also a lot of this and a lot of time. So
I get it, right? This room that I am in, it is 10 feet from this wall over here to that wall over there. Each of these shelves come out 2 feet. So from the edge of my desk, which is one of the shelves you see behind me, to the shelf that is behind me is 6 feet. I cannot lay in this room, widthwise. My head will hit. I'm 6'1", right? And it's just there's a pretty wide angle lens to get as much as we get here. And my camera is maybe 10 inches from the wall, right? So everything's set back a bit. And so
it definitely looks like you have a pretty big space from your camera.
This room is 10 by 17 feet. That's it. It's
Okay.
170 square feet.
Wow.
And the air handler is in here, which takes up about 9 square feet of that. So we're really
Okay.
operating with like 160 square feet of usable space.
Right.
And so there's 2 racks over here and there's 2 racks over here. And then you can't see it, but there's another little rack right there that just holds some inventory. But, you know, my real inventory has also kind of pushed its way into other areas of the house because we've run out of space. And spools, thankfully, aren't that big of a deal to just stack up, and then you take them as you need them. But yeah, I among a lot of other people, I totally understand this problem. My garage has some usability, but it is also currently 32 degrees Celsius and almost raining outside. So it is not just hot, it is thick. The air is thick. And
very
so
humid,
working out there is also terrible. So I get it, right? It's why we've almost, I think I might have to abandon the Politician, a product that I've talked about for years on here, which is a heater that is also a filter, because that's all politicians do. They filter and produce hot air.
Oh
Great
my God,
name.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
great name. Wow.
The idea for that was to maintain chamber temperatures on resin printers, but
right.
when I look at what scale up looks like on making a manufacturing line to do it, there's no space. We don't have it, and I would have to sacrifice. I'd likely have to sacrifice the bulk of my resin 3D printing area, which is probably fine because we don't do a ton of resin anymore because I just hate it, and I've made my minimum to do resin so high that we just don't get jobs anymore, which is fine.
Right.
Unless they're like, we just did a $15,000 job for a client, like no problem,
Nice.
I got you.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like I don't. Where the hell we're gonna put a screw counting line? I don't.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. And it's challenging because, like, same with what I said about the plates. It's like you don't know how much demand for this product there's going to be. So for you to like set up all this line, not only do you not have the physical space, but it's also going to cost a lot of money. And then the alternative to setting it up in-house is to work with a CM, but then a CM won't really take you unless you have,
You
X
need the
amount
volume.
of job. Exactly. Yeah. So even for us, like, it would be nice if the CXCs, the plates, even future products, like a CM made it, because as much as I like telling people that I make these things with my own hands, and every product that you get has been like tested and made by me.
It sucks to do that.
Yeah, like I'd rather be inventing other products or doing other things, right? So I hope that one day we'll have enough volume to just work with a CM to get them to do everything. But anyways, yeah, with that comes its own set of challenges, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. David Connor Shover is asking cheap commercial space nearby. I don't think cheap commercial space exists anymore. Unless you can afford to buy the building, rent is too expensive. Like, so we looked at this. We looked at rent. Like, we used to have a retail space in a shopping mall, an open air shopping mall in Florida. It was $2,500 a month for 2,000 square feet, which is very affordable.
That's pretty good, yeah.
We had no guarantee on the space. So at any moment, if they had someone that was willing to pay more, they gave us 30 days notice and we had to leave. So it was a very stressful environment, because if we weren't producing, they would just kick us out, right?
Yeah.
And when human malware hit, it's very obvious, or when it was just starting, it was very obvious, shut this thing down, move on with our lives. And so we moved back to my house. This is a room in my house. And it's a useless room in my house. It's a mud room in Florida. Who the hell has that? There's no door. I have curtains. There's no door in this room. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand this pain. And like, we looked at other commercial space. They want like $45 a square foot, and it's like no traffic. There's no foot traffic. It's not even in a nice neighborhood. Like, you need bars on your windows, not nice neighborhood, and they want like $45 a square foot. And I'm like, I've got a couple acres of land. I'll just put a building on it, and then that's $100,000, right?
Yeah.
That's still a ton of money. So,
and it's like so much more convenient for you, right? Because it's in your home, like.
Yeah, but then see, things that people don't talk enough about. being a small business owner and working out of your house sounds like it's a
Yeah.
great deal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
while, yep, you don't really have to get out of pajama pants if you never want to, right? Because especially on camera, we're only seen from like mid chest up, anyways. Buddy, you
Right,
might
yeah.
not even be wearing pants. I got no
Yeah.
clue.
Who
It's not
knows?
it's not a requirement for these interviews, right? But what they don't talk about is you can never escape the work. It's always there. And if you're the type of person that just wants to do good, and you seem like that type of person, you got that little nag in the back of your head. You're not that
Yeah,
tired. Come on, you got
yeah,
like 2 more orders you could get out. You could do that. It's fine. You could work till 3 o'clock in the morning. That's fine, right?
yeah.
And it's not fine. It's not
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. No, I totally relate. And like, yeah, that I feel like, as an engineer, we always joke that everything is a trade-off, but even in life, like I feel like everything is a trade-off, right? Because so I before having our shop, we were living in an apartment. And
Mhm.
so in 2020, between 2021, we were in a similar position as kind of what you were describing. I was actually looking for commercial space, but I live in Vancouver and real estate here is just like bonkers. So
Mhm.
I had been looking for commercial space for around a year, and the vacancy rates were 0.2%. Like that's like basically you have to go see a place, and if you don't put an offer down, it's gone. Like
Yep.
it was just bananas. And similarly, it would have been like $3,000, $4,000 a month for the size space that I want.
Oh yeah,
And
because
and
like
so
you don't get the space you need. You get the space you want, right?
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
like you probably need 600 square feet,
yes,
but you
yeah,
want 3,000 because 3,000 lets you breathe a little bit.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, and like lets you grow and everything too, right? So we ended up just deciding, okay, I don't want to throw $3,000, $4,000 a month into a black hole.
Yep.
Let's, take on a bigger mortgage. We'll kind of deal with the repercussions of that as we go, but we can have like our own space. I can turn the garage into my own shop, and similar to you, it's like I spent X amount of money on that and then now it's done, right?
Yep.
And I own
Yep.
it and it's great.
I need
And
to
I just
insulate
like,
my garage. That's my next step.
yeah,
It's
so
got no insulation.
yeah, I had a bit of foresight. I was like, I don't want to spend the money, but I know I'm going to be in there like literally every day and it would just make my life a lot more comfortable. So I put in a heat pump in there and it's been fantastic. I highly recommend like having AC and heat in there is great.
Don't need the heat. I can
We
put
don't,
on
yeah,
more.
you don't need the
I
heat,
can
you
put
just need
more
AC.
clothes on, buddy. I can only take so many off before we're going to onlygrantrants.com. And
Right,
yes, I
yeah.
do own that domain. You are welcome to go to it.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
I do own that. I own a lot of funny domains, which people are going to find out very soon. I have some fun domains in this industry, and we're going to be
Right.
using them liberally. But yeah, so like so we had a new roof put in a
Mm,
couple of years back, and I had them install a vent on top of the garage so some of the hot air can get out. It means the attic above the garage gets to roughly 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
holy smokes.
That's with a vent,
That's
sir.
almost like that's almost like 50 degrees Celsius.
That's
Jeez.
above
It was
50.
above
Is
50, I
it?
think.
Should be close
Yeah.
to 60.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
think so.
and the inside will
Yeah.
get to about 120, 130.
Oh my
So like
gosh.
we have an air conditioner. I have a dual hose AC. Thank you to Patreon and PayPal members who basically, with the money that you guys thankfully provide every month, we were able to take some of that money and put it right into not making me sweat through my clothing on stream, because I can see our audience numbers. Most of you are not into that kind of thing. And not for my fat ass too, right? But even then, right? I've got bare concrete walls, a
Right.
steel garage door that has no insulation on it, and the attic has no insulation either. Um, yeah, it can still get
Yeah.
spicy, right?
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Yeah, like when we moved in, I spent a good amount of money just like putting in power, insulating the walls, insulating the attic, like
Yep.
setting it up how I mean, I had the luxury of walking into like an empty box and then just being like, okay, I have the time and money to like do this. Um, so I'm thankful that I did do that and I was able to do it. But yeah, your comment about, working from home, and just, I totally relate, man. Like,
I know you do, because
like
you're up
it's
early and you're
yeah,
up late. I know you
yeah,
do.
yeah. Like it's so convenient. I love it so much to just be able to walk out.
Yep.
For me with 3D printing, especially SLA 3D printing, it's kind of in the past it was such a pain for me to like print something on my big machine, go the next day, find out it failed, have to like, clean it up, reprint a part, go back home, go back, wash it, go back home, go back, pick it up after it's been washed. Like it's such a inconvenience. Now
Yep.
it's great. I just walk out whenever I want. But totally the flip side is like I walk out whenever
Whenever
I
I
want.
want. Yep, that's right.
So
That's right.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's the lesser known thing of small business and work from home is it is hella convenient,
Yeah. Like
right?
too convenient.
But yeah, that convenience, especially if you're the type of person that has a poor work-life balance. And if you are a bootstrapped small business owner, you have poor work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
You just do, because you recognize that often the more hours a day that you work, the more money you have the ability to make. Now, eventually you'll realize the more hours I work, I'm losing money at a certain point. We don't normally do that math until we're quite a few years deep, and we're like, I should work like 12 hours a day max. But to
Yeah.
be clear, 7 days a week, 12-hour days, that is a 96-hour work week. That is right. Is that right? That's
Yeah.
84. That's
Yeah.
not good math. Wait.
Seven,
Yeah,
12
that's
hours? 12?
84 hours a
Yeah.
week. So you're working in 7 days over double what the average person works in 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thankful that I have been doing this as a side hustle since 2014. So over the years, I've kind of learned, how much work-life balance I want to strive for. And so I feel like I'm doing a better job now than if I had just jumped into it like, straight out of nowhere. But for sure, I'm always trying to be better. This is the perfectionist in me coming out, even like outside of like engineering work, right? It's like I'm always trying to be better, even in terms of work-life balance, because obviously I want to spend time with my family.
Yep.
I want to play sports. I want to do the other things that I like to do. And yeah, so I don't know. It's like a never-ending challenge probably for any business owner, but
Yeah, it is. And I'm I'm not certain that there's going to be a good option to solve it, right? Because
yeah,
what's the solution to it? Oh, it's money. Okay, well, how do we get money? Well, we have to work. Well, how do we work? Well, I guess we could increase the price of our product, but after you go to a certain level, it's no longer a product that people want to buy. So, I still tell you that I think your product is too cheap, but, or
yeah.
too affordable, I should say.
So many people say that. Yeah, yeah.
It
I can
might
give
it
you my
might be
thoughts around
worth
that.
listening to them.
Yeah, well, so when we launched, the prices were definitely low,
Well,
strategically, I would
yeah,
say.
that's a strategic
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So since I have increased the prices a little bit, like I've basically bumped everything up by $10. It's still probably not as much as I should charge. My thought process around it is I want this thing to be accessible and affordable to people because it's cool and I want more people to be able to have it.
Yep.
And also at the end of the day, because this product was an accident and honestly speaking, because I don't want to just be making plates for the rest of my life, it's okay if it ends up being a product that I have to can in the future. And clearly it has shown me is that if anything, if I take away anything from launching this product, it's helped me grow my brand and a lot more people know about me now, which is super cool and super weird. But yeah, like,
Hilariously,
you
that's a
know,
very, very, very expensive thing to do. Is to like, well, and you've done it for a lot less than most,
right.
right? Like, how did I grow my brand recognition? I started a YouTube channel. Dude, we are over $80,000 invested into this channel at this point.
Holy.
Yeah. And, that's because I said from day one, I am too busy to edit videos. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to hire somebody in. right?
Mm.
And so the channel is consistently, other than Q4, every month it loses us money. But what it does for me is worth way more than that, right? The fact that it lets me kind of talk about what I love and share that passion, talk with cool people like you, and like the ability for me to talk to people like Ken Johnson, the inventor of Phase 10, the second best-selling card game on the planet, without this YouTube channel is effectively zero. The
Right.
chances of me being able to interview Sanjay Mortimer without this YouTube channel was effectively zero. And we were the last people to ever interview him before he passed.
Oh,
right?
wow, okay.
That's why we shaved my head at Smurf in December. Right, to raise money, because like I have a connection to that, and I want to do good, right? And it lets the philanthropy side of me actually, be useful, and I can kind of like kick the capitalist side of me off to the side for a little bit, while the philanthropy side's like, I like helping people, but the other side's like, but what about eating? We like eating.
I feel like I'm always in a similar like argument in my mind, right? It's like with the plates, I look at it and I'm like, I am making a profit from them, but I always feel like I'm not making enough, right? I'm like, oh, I could be making more doing something else. I could be like, and so maybe I should stop doing it and do something else. But the flip side is like all the people I've met, all the engagement with customers and stuff, like it's been so fulfilling to go through this. So it's just, it's constant battle, like capitalist me and like philanthropist or like good person me, like,
And this is where like my business mentor would say, this is what makes you both a good business owner and a terrible business owner. He says that because a business owner, business owners only care about money, right? A good business owner only cares about money because people are replaceable, right? But he said what makes you a good person is that you care about people. And while that means you're going to make less money in the long run versus people that, have a cultish following that, block other people for no valid reason. And, when you talk bad about their companies, they just block you. I'm not calling out anybody in specific here. You will make less than them, but you retain something that they don't, which is who they are. Like, I will retain me. Anyone that's met me outside of the internet knows I am the same. Off camera, I am on camera. I am, if not louder off camera than I am on camera, right? I retain, as John Stern says, my humanity. And and that means, Phil, you and I will likely make less money than the than the egotistical, multi-billionaire other version of ourselves. But, we don't hate ourselves in the process, so there's a benefit there, right?
For sure. Yeah. And actually, I had lunch with a friend a couple weeks ago, and I was like kind of complaining or ranting or talking to him about this. And he had like the best words of advice that I have received in a while. And he was basically like, well, if you're not having to do what you don't want to do, aren't you winning already? And I was like, whoa, totally. Like, I mean, I'm able to eat, I'm able to afford our home, I'm able to like, have a good life. And sure, I'm maybe not making as much as Tech Bro over there, but I'm definitely doing what I want to do. So anyways, I just thought that was like such a good reminder for myself.
It is. It is a phenomenal reminder that, because this is, I'm trying to book it for 2 weeks, because next week we have a cool guest coming on. We have the Cade Museum and the Cade Foundation coming on to talk about the Cade Prize, the one that gives,
cool.
I don't know if you saw that video that we did.
I saw, yeah.
So we're having representatives from the company to come on and talk in detail, because I guess there are things that I don't know that's going on, and that they want to talk about it. But I like to have Nick Ange. His last name is spelled Angers, but it's Ange. For those who don't know who he is one of the organizers of 3D Printopia, formerly East Coast Rep Festival. But Nick, professionally, is a therapist. And I'd like having him to come on and talk about imposter syndrome. Because what you perfectly just described there is what imposter syndrome looks like from the inside and from the outside. Because from the inside, it's like, I am working my ass off, barely being able to afford getting by. And while, yeah, okay, the house is paid, the dogs are fed, the wife and family or whomever are fed, right? Everybody's fed, everybody's happy. I am working myself to the bone to make it happen. But someone on the outside says, but you're not beholden to anybody but yourself. I would argue that's not technically correct, but fine. You know, it's not, I only answer to the cat, you only answer to your dog, right? Like that, those are our bosses, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And to the average everyday worker, this sounds like a dream. To other small business owners, we know it's not the dream that you think until it is.
Right.
It eventually becomes that. It does take some time. So when we look at, I'm gonna ask a question. I don't know if I'm gonna get it. If this is not a question you want to answer, that's fine. This is an out of left field question. Where do you spend the most amount of your time? Where's the most amount of your time spent on this?
Like within my business or just in life?
For the business. I can't,
for the business.
Buddy, I'm not a therapist. I can't help with the life thing. I mean, I can try, but I ain't certified, you know?
Yeah, I was like, well, that's a tangent. I don't mind answering, but
look, if you want to have phone calls, dude, I will give you my cell phone number. You can call me whenever. This has been great, but no, from the business side.
Right, yeah. It fluctuates a bit. So like I said earlier, like we do 3 different things, right? And it's kind of funny because I feel like I'm running 3 different businesses.
You are.
I mean, I don't know. You are
running 3 different businesses. Yes.
Yeah. Which is like stupid, but also
kind
of fun.
It's not. No, look, I run at least 3, right? The 3D printing,
right.
3D scanning, and the YouTube, right? I get it.
Yeah.
Totally understand this whole.
Oh yeah. Like it was totally intentional, right? Like every single one is very up and down, right? And so they average out. Yeah. Yeah, it really depends. Like, so last year, I would say it was like 40% service work, 40% consulting, because we did like a really crazy project last year, and then 20% product, which is CXC. This year, I'm hoping it's more 50% service work and 50% product. My goal is to eventually do less consulting, because while I get to work on really cool things, I'm still ultimately like listening to some dude tell me what to do. And
it's also very time consuming, and they often suck at telling you what to do.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's like, oh man, this project we worked on last year, dude, I can talk about it a little bit, but basically I did some really, I designed a new product for a company that's working on some really cool tech. It's called muon tomography. Basically, muons are like subatomic particles that just exist in the atmosphere. They kind of come down from like the sun and stuff. And they have this device, they have this sensor that goes into the ground, and it uses the muons to generate a 3D map of like ore, dirt, materials, resources that's underground. And so it's for a mining application. It basically helps mining companies 3D map and know what's around instead of having to drill like hundreds of like $1 million holes that they need to make.
I know about the drilling of the holes, but the rest of that is well above my pay grade. I used to work in the drilling industry, but the rest of that is well above my pay grade.
Yeah. So it's like, a new technology to like eliminate the need to drill all these holes. It's super cool. I worked on their next gen product, but man, it was like insane. It was like 6 months, went from nothing to a full-blown product where we, trained them to do assembly and everything. But it was just crazy. The timelines were insane. The expectations were very high. So, like, well, I
it's
guess
a high stress environment.
Yeah. Super high stress. Yeah. And they were a new client too, right?
It's
less stressful. Yeah.
Ultimate high stress. Yeah.
Super high. Yeah. So I enjoy doing those kind of things once in a while, but I don't want my business to have to depend on those kind of jobs, right? Like if they come to me, I'll take it because it's cool. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm hoping this year will be like in terms of my time. But we'll see. You never know.
Well, you're doing what any good business owner either knows from the beginning or learns over time. Diversification of revenue streams. So if you're a small business owner and all you do is you go out to the farmers markets and that's where you sell your 3D printed dragons that take you 8 hours for $25, you're selling them for way too damn cheap, and then you yell at me for talking about your mental health and all that, and, you know, saying, hey, is everything good? Screw you guys, by the way. You're a one-trick pony, and as soon as somebody else comes around that's going to do it cheaper than you, too bad, so sad, you're out. So you have to find a way to continually diversify your revenue streams, whether it's different models, it's different service offerings. Maybe now you start to do custom works, and it becomes a valuable scenario where you're producing a value add for the customer, right?
Yeah.
So like, great example of that value add for me would be, well, hey, if I can use your website, use that program that doesn't exist yet, but then I could download that as an SVG or a DXF or whatever, so that I could implement that into one of my build plates. Like I could show where the 3D logos are going to be. So when I place a part, I know exactly, and yes, I'm touching this build plate, I will need to clean it, but I will know exactly where those 3D logos will land. Dude, that's pretty cool. And like, if I wanted to make it a little bit bigger to make sure that I get more logos, great. That's the kind of stuff where I could see, like, that's a huge value add that makes this product from being a pain in the ass custom to being something where I, as the end user, can plan for it more adequately. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Like having a bit more kind of freedom and autonomy for the customer to be able to do that, I think is definitely helpful. Like, right. So what you described just now is totally possible, and people will have to like email me and request the SVG, right? But it'd be nice if people just download it themselves or design it themselves.
One less thing that takes up your time. You have 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I'm sorry, but cocaine is too expensive, right? So you have to sleep. So So you know, all right, we have to sleep at some point. And if you're only getting 3 hours of sleep a night, you're gonna burn out fast. So how do you make sure that you reduce your working BS? Right?
Yeah, totally. And I think I'm still learning that, and still like trying to figure those kind of things out. Like trying to figure out what I like doing for my business and what I don't like, and trying to plan for like how to offload some of those things I don't like doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always a challenge because it just comes down to money, right? Like
money
if there's
and
things
trust.
I don't want to do. Money and trust. Yeah. Like if there's things I don't want to do, I have to hire out like, for example, video editing. I hate video editing, right? And
that's why I have editors too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then it costs money, right? So
it does. And I am slowly learning editing. So I was supposed to release a video already that I edited. Haven't gotten there yet because the client or the company that we were interviewing kicked it back and said, hey, can you just remove this bit?
Right.
Yeah, but I'm learning how to edit 360 content specifically.
Okay.
Because when we do our interviews at shows now, we have a 360 camera, so that it's an immersion thing, right? I'm actively going for immersion when it comes to the content that we're producing. But yeah, I get it. Like trusting video editors, it's tough. It is tough because you are taking it's literally like putting a newborn in the hands of a babysitter, right? For the first time. Like if you have kids, that first time when you passed off the kid to the babysitter, you're always nervous about, is the kid going to be alive when I get home? And like,
yeah,
if you know kids, they're freaking resilient, man. It's really hard. They're designed to be squishy and relatively impact resistant, especially when they're, a couple of years old.
Right.
But your product, right, the videos, whatever it might be, that stuff takes forever. I'm still not 100% comfortable, and it's why we do a video review every day before we release a video. We have a live review in our Discord server, which is available at the $10 tier and higher. Yes, that is a call to action. Yes, I integrated it into me talking about something. Too freaking bad. Donate, support, like the video, all those things. And we do that because I want to see what it looks like, but I also want the community of people that are literally paying to be there, that they're interacting with us as well, right? but for them to have a voice in the editing process. And we found that as soon as we started doing that, everyone's a little uncomfortable when we first kind of start, right?
Right.
But as we got into a groove with it, our content has gotten better, because things that I miss and the editors miss, the fans don't miss.
Right.
And I love when we get like 20 people in a room, we're reviewing, you know, the Wednesday video or the Print Fix Friday that comes out the next day, so that we can take care of any like last minute little changes, maybe add in this little joke. Oh, let's throw some B-roll from this event here to do that. That is really where we find that it takes a village sometimes. And what you might like for video editing, certainly what I like for video editing, might not convert. So
Right.
that's why I said, all right, I'm just going to hire someone. It costs a bunch of money, but it's one less headache that I have to deal with, and I can focus on making the money to pay the editor.
Yeah. Yeah. And like eventually maybe I'll reach a similar point or similar conclusion as well. Like I make videos because I think that I have a lot of kind of tacit knowledge that's just in my head from like running a service bureau, and I want to share that. But also, I'll be honest, like some videos are kind of, they're basically ads for products, right? Like
That's
they help.
What most videos are. Yep, they're ads.
Yeah, I mean, they're ads. Like they help me get eyeballs on our products, because it's very hard to get eyeballs on products. Like I learned that last year when I launched the CXC. I like threw it out there and I'm like, how do I get people to look at this? But I hate video editing so much. I do not enjoy it.
What are you editing
all,
in?
so.
What's your editing software of choice?
Oh man, I'm really cheap. I just use like, what's it called? Clipchamp that comes with Windows.
DaVinci Resolve. Stop it. You're wrong. Use DaVinci. It's free. It's legally free.
Oh, okay.
The only reason you'd want to pay for it is if you have a decent GPU and you want to render via the GPU.
Okay.
That's it. And then it's $300 once, and that gives you 2 software keys. And if you're really good about it, you go to the hardware swap subreddit or the photo market subreddit, and you sell the other key for $150 to somebody else that only wants 1 key.
Okay.
And that's, we had a fan that bought it, and it's like, hey, you want a key for DaVinci Resolve? I'm like, yeah. They're like, here you go. I'm like, sweet.
Cool. Okay.
And our editors still complain to me because they much prefer Premiere Pro. Right. Premiere Pro is $60 a month for the Adobe suite.
Yeah.
Right. This was $300 once. It paid for itself in 5 months. And from like and when you install it, set it up like Premiere. It'll give you a bunch of options for how you want to set it up for all of its key bindings and key commands. Set it up like Premiere because that's pretty much how everybody else does it. It is so easy that even I can do it. If you have questions, just message me. Quite frankly, I'll DM you a link to our Discord. You can just message the editors directly.
I'll hop in your Discord. I just recently started using Discord more. Like I created a Discord channel for Ember Prototypes like last week. So, but that's a great suggestion, because I mean the software I'm using, it's like very bare bones. It's good enough for like what I want to do, but obviously if there's something better out there, I'll use it. So Resolve
is like clicking advanced on the slicers, right? It gives you a lot of options that you probably don't care about, but it also puts the options you care about into a much easily well-defined area. It's like friends of mine, Jazz and Joe, they recently started streaming. Their streaming channel's Leveled Up Lovers. If anyone wants to follow them on Twitch, yes, I just gave my friends a shout out. This is how this works. And every now and then I go on their Twitch channel. They're just game streaming. So when the wife isn't there, Jazz, she works as a nurse. I'm the substitute lover. So I fill in for Jazz on the streams. And they were using like CapCut and that kind of stuff. I said, dude, install DaVinci Resolve. And Joe's like, oh my God, this is great. This is so much easier. I'm using this. And so he's cutting up all of his stream recordings. And it's like, and it's free. It's free.
Right.
It's free. Yeah. It's phenomenal for free. Right?
I will definitely give it a try. Yeah.
So and content creation is tough. You're right. It is. It is advertisements. It's advertisement for your product. And I also, that's why I'm not the right person to do the editing. I'm a perfectionist piece of crap when it comes to this, and I'm not going to be happy.
Right.
So I would rather just put it into somebody else's hands that okay, they're not going to do exactly what I want, but exactly what I want is unreasonable even to expect out of me. So I
Yeah.
have to do better at setting my expectations appropriately for what fits best for the content.
Yeah. Like if you did it, the video might never go out, or it might take
Exactly.
forever to go out.
It would take
Yeah.
forever because I only have so much time in the day to get this stuff done. Right?
Yeah.
We even have a dedicated editing PC where the editors remote in via Parsec, which is the
Oh,
greatest
cool.
move we ever did. It's amazing because that means I don't
Right.
have to upload crap to a cloud server and deal with that. They can just remote in to a dedicated editing box,
Right.
which is not
Nice.
my PC, so I can still use my PC when I need it.
Yeah.
That was the smartest thing we ever did.
Yeah.
It's expensive, draws like 300 watts constantly too,
Right.
because there's 9 hard drives in it.
Holy smokes! Wow.
Oh, we have over 15 terabytes of content at this point.
Whoa. Okay.
Like it's
Wow.
and we don't pre-film a ton. So
Yeah.
but that's part of being a content creator, right? You need to make videos.
Yeah.
But
And even like, even for small business, like you kind of have to be a content creator too. I mean, I am having to do all these different things, like
you
on
tag
Twitter a
me on
lot,
Instagram. I'm like, how
yeah.
the hell is this
Yeah.
work? I don't know how to use
Yeah.
Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
I think I sent
There's
you
just
a
so
heart.
much
I'm like,
stuff.
that's not what I wanted to do, Instagram. I don't. And it's like the editors handle all of that.
You did send me a heart. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay.
I don't. The content creator doesn't understand social media. Who knew? Right? I don't understand how to use Instagram. I barely understand how to use Twitter. I still don't really understand it. YouTube,
Yeah.
nobody understands that unless you're the Spiffing Brit or freaking Mr. Beast, right? Those are the only two people that seem to understand it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I sit here and say that small business owners, we silently trudge through the mud a lot because we feel that our problems are unique to us. And look at that. Basically, every problem that you've brought up, I'm dealing with it too. And I would hedge a bet that any other business owner in this chat is dealing with it too.
It's actually really cool to talk to other bootstrapping business owners because, like I said earlier, my history with entrepreneurs and stuff have always been like traditional VC startups. And it's so different. So different. So yeah, it's like awesome.
Yeah, those
to
are entrepreneurs
talk to people
with a
like you,
paycheck.
talk to Pooch, like yeah, exactly, right? They have a paycheck, they have all this money, they can just do whatever they want. But for people like us, we
get a
more
salary.
intentional.
Well, F you getting a salary. Oh yeah, well, I just gotta ask my investor.
Right.
So you gotta ask your sugar daddy, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
No offense, it's what it is.
It's totally what it is. Yeah. And like your sugar daddy
don't hate us,
makes all the
VC
decisions
people.
for you, right? So yeah, we might want your money at some point in the future.
Right now I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would put my own capital into this business before I accept outside investment. Like you said earlier, as soon as you and this is for anyone that's listening, as soon as you accept outside investment capital, that is not just a loan from a bank, right? You are often also giving up seats on your board of directors. And if you say, well, Grant, who cares? Ask Steve Jobs. Ask Steve Jobs how well that went for him. He got kicked off as the CEO of his own board by his board members. Only then what? A little bit later for them to come groveling back because clearly he was the right person. They didn't believe that he was. And if your board doesn't have faith in you, they can unseat you. And then you lose everything that you knew to be yours. And you want to talk about what depression looks like? That, unless you have a golden parachute, then F you. But that's what depression looks like. And that's where a lot of small business owners fall trap to, let's just go with, make it simple, drugs and alcohol, right? That's where they become addicts to something that isn't their business. And that's where things get dangerous. So
yeah, like people like that, they spend 5, even up to 10 years kind of taking their baby and trying to launch it and make it a thing, get acquired, whatever. Only to get kicked off the board. It's really tough, and I don't ever want to be.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't ever want to be in that position. I think Ember has grown very organically for like a decade, and it's helped with many things actually. Like if somebody were to ask me, if somebody were to tell me that they wanted to start a small business and like wanted advice on how to grow it, I would tell them to do it organically if they could,
Yep.
because doing it slowly meant that I could reinvest a lot of the capital back into the business without like killing myself. But I think most importantly, B, is that I really found my like product market fit, my niche, right? So I run a service bureau, but I don't compete with other service bureaus out there because it's just a race to the bottom, right? It's like
Same.
it's like if you're designing a 3D printer and you're trying to compete with like a Creality, like you'll be out of business in no time, right?
Yes, and for
So
those wondering, I do have an actual competitor on screen with me right now because I run a service bureau too. But we
right,
don't
yeah,
compete with each
yeah.
other.
No, yeah, like we're in like totally different spaces, right? And
Probably.
I
Honestly, I don't know.
well, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I'm in Canada, so
There's enough pie to go around for everybody. There's no
yes.
sense in fighting over the same damn slice.
Yeah, but if let's say if we were trying to make money from printing articulating dragons, like that is a very, very hard business model to be successful in, right? Because everybody's doing it. Everybody who has a bamboo printer or Prusa or whatever can do it.
Yep.
Um, so for me, growing organically meant that I could like really figure out where my niche was. And because I've had so much success doing that, like I think that's kind of how I want to keep growing my business. Like I don't want to just take VC money and just,
I
you know,
agree. Like, and I think that one, phenomenal advice, right? Phenomenal advice. We're missing a key thing though,
mm,
right? And that key thing is don't quit your 9 to 5.
right.
Grow
Yeah.
organically. Don't quit your 9 to 5. Keep your 9 to 5. I don't care if you hate it. Keep your 9 to 5 because what does your 9 to 5 give you? Gives you a guaranteed paycheck. Hopefully, it gives you health insurance. You're up in the Great White North. You don't understand what that's like. Okay,
Yeah.
right? I spent 9 hours in the hospital. It's $19,000. Like, you know.
Oh my God.
Yep. Thankfully, there was a whole thing associated with that. It was not my money. I got a bill. I still have it. I was not my bill to pay. It was when I was under workers' comp. There's a whole thing with that. I have a bad back.
Okay.
Long story. But
Okay.
yeah, 9 hours, 19 grand. And that's pretty low for
Jeez.
9 hours in a hospital, to be clear.
Right, right.
So you'll get health insurance still. You'll have a guaranteed paycheck, and yep, you're gonna work hard. But part of that keeping your 9 to 5 is it maintains perspective. That
Hmm.
perspective of it's a slog to work for yourself. It is hard. It is honest work. It's hard work, and you might not make a ton of money doing it, but you love it a lot more. And I will caution anyone that wants to turn their hobby of 3D printing into a job, or as Pooch says, the hobby into the jobby. You will likely lose the passion that you have
Yes.
for printing personally, because now it becomes a thing you do for money.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
you associate this, well, I could make this, but I can just buy it from Amazon. It's going to cost me 5 hours of my time to make it. My time is worth this much. And you never did that before you took your hobby to a jobby. You just did it because it
yeah,
was fun. So, yeah, caution on
yeah,
taking those hobbies to jobbies. It can be rewarding. You just have to understand what you're up against, right?
yeah. And I think like again, doing things organically gives you the time to
Yep.
reflect on like, am I enjoying turning my hobby into a jobby?
Yep.
Or like what parts of it do I enjoy and what I don't, right? And yeah, uh definitely running Ember alongside my full-time job was very helpful. Like I never had the anxieties or stress or worry about financial situations, right? I didn't have to make decisions in order to make enough money to pay for a home or whatever.
Yep.
I just made money and I was like, hey, there's a new 3D printer. I'm going to buy that now with the money that I made. Like I just didn't have to care at all, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it's It's an added difficulty factor, right? You know, you might have rolled a nat. You rolled well, right? Your roll here on understanding organic growth, I think you rolled well. You rolled probably close, like close to a 20, like a 15 or so. We're making a D&D reference here. Those that often take those hobbies to jobbies, they're rolling a nat 1 and they're not realizing it. They're not
Right, yeah.
and they're about to step into a pretty serious trap that if they don't succeed with the job, they lose both the job and the hobby.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because like that burnout, I've always wanted to have an episode. I've never had a way to do it without it just sounding like just a bitch fest for entrepreneurs, but an
Right.
episode where I get like 6 entrepreneurs on it. We all just kind of talk about our personal experiences with burnout. It's
Mhm.
I'm not trying to make a podcast that's group therapy for entrepreneurs, but we probably need it.
Yeah,
Right?
I think
We probably
I
need
think
it.
it yeah, I think it's helpful to talk about that stuff because we all are experiencing that, right? And like
Nobody does. Nobody does. I'm the dude, I'm the only one. I'm the only one in this community talking about
right,
anything that has to do with small business in
right.
this real way. I'm the only one saying, yeah, I struggle with burnout. I
Mhm,
struggle with
mhm.
burnout, and I've got a therapist. That's what they're there for. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you
Yeah.
need help finding a good therapist, go to openpathcollective.org. It is free. It is a 501c3 in the States. Sorry, you probably get it affordably in Canada anyways. But if you're struggling to find affordable affordable mental health care, openpathcollective.org. One of the mods put their website in there. They don't pay me to say this. I will never accept money from them because I will give them free advertising. It is a way that those that are struggling with whatever they're going through to find someone that is affordable. Okay? That is a big deal. I find
Yeah.
often that businesses fail more because the entrepreneur is going through mental health challenges than they fail because they run out of money.
Yeah.
Because
So interestingly, counseling or therapy is not free up here in Canada. Like I still have to pay for it. Like I have a counselor too, and I have to pay for them every time I see them. And I would say I definitely think so. For me, usual thing I talk about with my counselor is like perfectionism, and then some of these things about like running small business and stuff. But mostly perfectionism because
yep.
while perfectionism has given me a lot of success in my career, in life, in sport, whatever, it also has a lot of downsides, right? Like I can never celebrate wins. Like that's just not a thing. It's very hard for me to do. I'm like never happy with my performance if I'm playing a sport, or I never think that this product I've made is like good enough. And it, you know, if you get too deep into it, it's like very toxic internally, right? You have this like internal monologue. So, anyways, I think it's super helpful for me and my business because it helps me kind of like, deal with my perfectionism, which would negatively affect my business. Because if I'm making a product and I let my perfectionism take control, it's like I'll never launch that product
Yep.
ever, right? So
A buddy
it's
of
definitely
mine,
helped me.
a book that I could recommend, and it's a short enough book that I read it, which should tell you something. So I for me to just like put time into reading is so tough these days. It is called Start Ugly by Chris Kremitzos.
Okay.
You'll find it. You don't have to know how to spell the last name. You'll figure it out. And it is all about just getting it out there.
Right.
And the best things today started as a shadow of what they are now, right?
Hmm.
Apple. Look at what Facebook first was before Facebook got started. Now it's a cesspool for your racist uncle. It's it's not wrong though. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
Facebook has evolved, and part of small business is understanding what rolling with those punches looks like. And any good boxer will tell you it's not about throwing that punch. It's about being able to take one.
Hmm.
And if you can take that punch and learn from that and understand how you can do better, that is how you grow and scale a business.
Yeah.
Right? Right.
And honestly,
That's
it's been challenging for me because So before I started doing this full time, I actually hated. So there's this trend, there's this trend of hardware companies where they launch things
Yep.
that maybe from a hardware perspective are like, 80%.
Yep.
But from a software perspective, they're like 30, 20, 40, whatever.
I'm looking
Depends
at
on who
you,
talk to.
affordable 3D scanners out there. All of your software sucks.
Yeah. And like there's this trend of that like companies doing this and then just doing over-the-air updates over time to like fix them, right?
Yep.
And I hate it so much. And this I'm wondering if I should talk about this. I think I'll make a decision not to, but basically I have a very personal experience with some machines that I own that I went through this problem with, where it's like I bought the machines and I basically felt like a beta tester throughout like the early months. And it was so annoying and I hate it so much. But now that I'm a bootstrapping entrepreneur that has my own products, I can understand and relate a bit more as to why people do it, right?
Yeah, because it's that nuance of getting that UX perfect. Now, some companies are just lazy, right?
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Right, there is a certain factor there that is lazy, like Creality shipping just a reskinned version of Prusa Slicer.
Oh my god!
Like,
yeah.
Why? Just ship it with Prusa Slicer. Nobody cares. Nobody's just saying, oh, you're using Prusa Slicer instead of your own. Why? Because it works.
Yeah.
But when you skin it and you fork it and you never freaking update it, the users don't know any better, and they're running like old school, like they were running Cura 5 when we're on Cura 15. That happened to me the other day. They're like, yeah, I'm running this. I'm like, can you just go to the about for me real quick? You're running Cura 4.5? Are you serious right now? How is that running?
Yeah, I'm like very not anti-Creality, but I just hate how like every 2 months they release a new 3D printer.
How many Ender 3s are there?
Yeah.
How many? Someone called me the other day to get help with their Ender 3. I spent 20 minutes over the phone trying to figure out what effing version it was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, it's an Ender 3. I said, well, did it say it had a version number? No. Okay, what does the screen look like? Okay, it's square. Is it monochrome? Yes, it's Ender 3 V1.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but, dude! And they bought it used.
Right.
No, the V2 one. That was the call last night. The V2 was used. And I'm like, no, I can't help you. You bought somebody else's project. I'm sure they told you it ran well. Just like, that car with the missing bumper that you bought was only driven to church on Sundays by an old lady, right? We all know it took a hard hit to a wall on a track day.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Comgrow sent us the Creality CR Scan Raptor, right? That's a blue laser line, 20 micron 3D scanner. And we got it to hit 27 microns, right? I mean, and that's for a $1,600 scanner in Design X. Okay, so I'm using a $17,000 software to verify it based on CAD, right? 27 micron accuracy. That's damn good. That's damn good. But you know what it can't do? You can't there's no lasso tool. So if you want to remove the base of something, there's no lasso tool. There's no base selection tool. You can't do that. You have to use rectangular boxes. And if you do 2 scans, you try to put them together, it has no idea what it's doing. It has no idea what it's doing. This is a $1,600 scanner that could easily compete with scanners that have an extra 0. That could easily compete with a sub $20,000 scanner all day long if its software was any reasonably good. And it's why, and I literally have one sitting here because I have a spare. It's why I'm an Artec fanboy. It's an Artec Eva. This is a $20,000 hand scanner. It does not look like it's 20 grand or 20 grand. It is why I love Artec. I don't care that it's expensive. I don't care that the software is $1,200 a year. I don't care. I care that the software is good and that the hardware works.
Mhm.
And as a business owner, there is nothing more frustrating than when I invest into an ecosystem and that ecosystem doesn't work, because it makes me feel as though I wasted my money.
Totally. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'm stuck being the one to do it, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And
But it,
that's why you have
yeah.
Formlabs for your resin printers. It's exactly why you do. You're
it's
okay with
it,
paying the premium.
so it's actually interesting because Formlabs is the company that I was kind of ranting about. So when the
Really?
Form 3, yeah, so I'm a brand ambassador for them. I love them. Like
Oh,
they've done so much for me, and like I
that's
love the
cool.
machines. Like I use them all the time. But when the Form 3 and the 3L came out, it very much fell into this category of like, okay, the hardware's done. The marketing and sales team wants to send this out. It's maybe not polished enough yet, but we'll send it out.
Okay.
And so for both machines, like I bought them on launch day, right? So I was a very early adopter, and
I
I
understand that
felt,
pain.
yeah, yeah, like I felt like a beta tester for quite a long time. And now it's like the machines are flawless, they're perfect. Like I never have any issues, but there's definitely a bit of growing pains. And as I was saying earlier, I like really dislike that kind of approach or mentality to selling products.
Yeah.
But now I understand it a bit more, right? You have all these pressures, this financial pressures to
Yeah, you don't
launch
have to like it
something.
to understand it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm trying hard now to like still have that high quality of standard and use the part of like my perfectionism that is good, but then not let it get in the way of like releasing something that maybe can be updated later to improve it. Like the plates, right? The custom plates, they're really good. I tested them a lot with beta testers. They work over all the material types that I claim they do. But the way that I coat them,
Mhm.
the thickness is still not perfectly uniform across the plate, and it's a bit harder on bigger plates, right? As you would imagine, like
Yeah.
keeping everything flat is hard. Uh, but it was good enough that I could feel comfortable sending them out and selling them. But it's still something I want to improve over time, and I am going to improve like imminently within this month.
Is
So
that why there's like a gradient, like the center of
yes,
this is
yes,
much brighter than the edge? Okay, that's what I always
yes,
figured it was. But
yeah.
for reference, this is just for show. Oh god, you can see the fingerprints on this. Uh this does not show up in the build. This is literally so when we do like time lapses and such, we can have our logo in the time lapse. It's still
Mhm.
freaking cool, right?
Yeah. So stuff like that, right? It's like I accept that it's not perfect,
Yeah.
and I think it's okay to accept that it's not perfect. I but it's important to like not let that get in the way of me releasing a product. And obviously I'll improve on it, right? Like I'm hoping to minimize that like gradient from happening. But it's really hard. It's really hard because like those plates are not uniform, right? They're powder coated. They're
I'm
kind of
getting
all
yelled at to
like,
clean my plate, so I'm just gonna
oh
do this
yeah.
for a bit. Yep, I'm just gonna do this for a bit.
You just smudge the fingerprints around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mad Cat's like, clean your bill plate. You're not the boss of me. And so you're refining your processes, and that's an
Yeah.
important thing, right? I firmly believe, and I'm gonna pull from Destin here, that if you're not getting smarter every day, you're falling behind, and if you're
Mm,
not constantly improving your processes, you're falling behind,
right.
right? Um, I I will say that we all have lofty goals, right? We all have lofty goals, but if there is something that the community here and the community at large could help you out with to reach a goal, what would that be? Other than buy
Good
more build plates,
question.
I guess, but
Yeah. Yeah.
something that's not
Uh,
cash or customer related, right? Like what do you want to see?
mhm. I mean, I think, yeah, this is a really good question. I'm actually not sure. Like, I think what we talked about earlier in terms of, if somebody had the skills and didn't think it was hard to write a plugin for like the artwork stuff
I
for
think that's the
custom
right
plate,
answer.
yeah, that would be amazing. Otherwise, honestly, everybody in the community has already gone far and beyond what I expect from people. Like
Mhm.
with the CXEs, people like Austin at Zombie Hedgehog, like, he
Yep.
streams about it all the time. Um, you know, uh, Steve Builds also streams about it when he does his stuff. I notice now that people on Discord and other platforms like are talking about me and my products, and like that's honestly that's more than enough. Like helping spread the word and get eyeballs onto our business and product, that's what helps. So yeah.
All right, so those of you that are programmers and know how to code and you want to help a small business owner, you can reach out. Phil's email's on his website. If you prefer to email me directly, you can, and I'll just get the two of you connected because for some reason you're a coder and you're also lazy. YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. Phil, I appreciate you coming out. This has been an awesome show. I really enjoyed it. And thanks for working with me at the last minute. For those who don't know, Phil was supposed to be next week's guest. We had to flip the guests around due to some scheduling conflicts. So appreciate you making it work for us the last minute, buddy. You are,
Of course.
you are a rock star, especially because you could be working right now and you spent the last 2 hours talking to my dumbass.
Well, and then like, thank you so much for having me. Like it's great to like chat with you and get to know you a bit more. And obviously just being able to have the exposure is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I tell this to any small business owner. If you ever want to just shoot ideas off of somebody, or you need someone to play devil's advocate and you don't want a family member to do it for whatever reason, freaking call me. I don't care, man. Right? Like my goal here is to see as many businesses succeed, as many small businesses succeed as humanly possible. And if that means I give you half an hour every other week or whatever it takes, damn it, I'll do it. My goal is to see more people in this industry make a living doing it and not hate themselves in the process. So,
right. Yeah.
Everyone,
that's very generous of you.
Hey, dude. I don't have money. I'm a small business owner. I don't have money, but I do have time.
Right.
And I'm happy to step away from what I'm doing to help somebody else. Because that's what my passion is, helping others. So in helping them, I'm helping myself. Right.
Right.
You know, it's mildly self-serving, but in the best kind of way.
Right.
So everyone, we have Ember Prototypes plates in the description. Check them out. Go buy a CXC. If you own a Prusa XL, and you haven't used the CXC to calibrate your XL, your XLs are actually pretty well calibrated, but the CXC can get it even closer. It's a little tough. Ellie of Koga Press has a pretty cool process of doing it, but if you do have an IDEX printer and you struggle because IDEX printers are a pain in the ass, get the CXC camera. It will help. And if you are a small business and you don't have an Ember Prototypes plate, what the actual hell is wrong with you? He is not paying me to say this. I'm saying this because I firmly believe that if you are not branding your prints, especially if you're selling the dragons and stuff to people, although I found that dragons don't do very well with the raised surfaces. It has some issues with sticking, but I feel like I could sand that away and make that work. I don't know. Haven't cared too much to fix it at the moment. But if you are selling products to consumers and they are using them for just generic look at me applications, you better be branding your prints because it makes sense. And these are way, way too affordable to not for nothing else other than it's freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have your own logo, go pick one up. You've got ones with hexagons on them. You have ones that support the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation.
Yeah.
So go support small businesses because that's the only thing that keeps this world running these days.
Yeah, and we'll have more stock patterns and stuff coming up in the short future as well. So I do have my dog here.
We are going to get the dog tax.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're getting dog tax. This is what happens when you wait to the end.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Look at the doggo.
Hello.
Absolutely beautiful. Look at the corgi time. Dog tax approved.
There's your dog tax. Yeah. Yeah.
Victoria's doing important marketing things, which actually means Amber is here, and the cat prefers Amber over me.
Right.
So
there's always a favorite parent.
There's always the favorite, and then there's the other one. Oh, I love it. So this is your real shop. This is your first employee, really?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, she doesn't do much, but she's very expensive. Doesn't do much, but
that's on brand for an employee. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mean to employees. That's just mean. No, director of marketing right there. Director of marketing.
Bark. Ooh, yeah.
Put her on your website. Who cares? Have some fun. But Phil, again, thank you so much for coming out. This has been awesome. Guys, check out Ember Prototypes. Links down below. Phil, do you know my sign off?
No, I do not.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because if you didn't know the sign in, you don't know the sign off. That is.
Yeah, I
all...
mean, when I watch videos, I honestly usually just skip to like the middle part because that's like the part I care about.
You're the worst.
Yeah, I'm like the worst.
Oh, that's the worst. We like the long engagement, man. It's good for the channels. No, it's fine. But anyways, thanks you everybody for watching. We're going to send you over to Steve Builds. He's building a 3.5 upgrade to one of his Mark IIIs, which we'll be doing soon too, so stay tuned for that. But that is all we have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Episode 192 with Ember Prototypes. Take care.